Today we're back with another video on PrusaLink, only this time we're going to install multiple 3D printers on just one Raspberry Pi. Hello everyone, Chris here. We've done videos on PrusaLink and Prusa Connect before. You can think of PrusaLink like the local piece of software you run at your 3D printer that allows you to use it from your local network to send it files and control a few things. Prusa Connect is the web-based version that allows PrusaLink to report up to Prusa Connect. You can see everything from one pane of glass, control multiple machines, and send them all files. And that's what puts the whole ecosystem together, makes everything super convenient. Now with the newer Prusa machines like the XL, the Mini, and the Mark IV, PrusaLink is installed on the board. You just have to configure it. With the older machines like the Mark II and the Mark III, you have to have an alternate host. And that's what we're going to be focused on today. We're going to install it on that alternate host, but we're only going to use one to control multiple printers. In the previous videos, we were focused on the Mark III because it does have a header on the board where you can install a Pi Zero and use PrusaLink that way. On this Mark III, you can see the Pi Zero right here. It does make it super convenient. You install your PrusaLink image on the card, you plug in your Zero after you add a few pins. I've got the process of that. I'll leave links in the description. It's a nice install. It makes it super independent, convenient. Throw your printer down, it automatically puts it on the network. But it would be nice to not have to buy a Zero for every printer you have installed in your farm. And that's the main reason for this video. We see all these new features coming out with the newer machines. As far as network connectivity goes, we can control them all right in Prusa Connect. We want to be able to add that to our older machines. And a lot of people probably think these are old and antiquated machines that you don't want to utilize, and there's a lot of newer great machines out there, including machines from Prusa. But it might be a great time to look into picking up a Mark III or even a Mark II printer. They're very affordable. I've seen a lot of them on the used market, and it's still a very quality printer that turns out a great print, in my opinion. So it might be a great time to start your print farm if you're looking to do something like that, or just add connectivity to your existing farm. And this only does work with Prusa machines, but there's enough of those out there to make this video worth my time. I still use a lot of them myself. So let's jump over to the computer. I'll show you how to get everything set up. So the first thing we want to do is start our image downloading. There are pages out here from Prusa to show you how to connect up, but we're going to go through the multi-install. It's not very difficult. I just want to show you all the ins and outs in case you want to do something like this. But if you scroll through the Prusa page, you're going to get to the Prusa GitHub where we can download our image. So we'll head to their GitHub. You can see the latest version as of this video is 0.7.2. But if you scroll down to this version, you're going to see two different images. Now this image on top is the one we were focused on before. This is a great one to put on your Raspberry Pi Zero or your regular Raspberry Pi if you just have one printer. If you want to do multiples, you're going to grab this right here. This is the multi-instance image. You can just click on it to download it, and then you can load it on your SD card. And for today's install, we're just going to be utilizing one of my old Raspberry Pi 3Bs and an SD card I had laying around. Remember, always use a good quality power supply and SD card with your Pi if you need a little bit more performance. This is a SanDisk 16 gig A1 card. It's a number 10. Utilize something like this. It's going to just save you a lot of headache as far as writing and reading from the card. But you don't need a whole lot of horsepower to run multiple printers with PrusaLink because it's pretty efficient. So after our multi-instance image download is complete, we'll just open our Raspberry Pi tool to create our SD card. I've already mounted it on my Windows machine. We'll choose OS. We'll scroll down to Use Custom. And we'll just pick that multi-instance image. It is in a .xz format because it's compressed, but the Raspberry Pi image tool will know what to do with that. So we'll just hit open. Choose storage. We've got that SD card mounted, so we're just going to grab that one. Remember, it is going to overwrite anything that is on that card currently. And then we'll go to custom settings here with this cog. Set your host name. I'm just going to call this PrusaLink. And we'll add a multi to it, just so we know for the video. You don't have to enable SSH, but I'm going to show you a few advanced options, so I'll leave that enabled. If you do, set a username and password. I usually just use Pi and Raspberry. But set something that's secure for your system. And then enter your wireless LAN information if you'd like to connect up with the Pi via wireless. Having this set, it will automatically configure it. Remember, these are case sensitive when you enter your SSID and your Wi-Fi password. You can also set your local information. I'm in the Central Time Zone, and you can set either of these down here if you'd like. But just hit save, and we'll write our SD card. When our image has been successfully written to our SD card, we'll just mount it on our Pi. We'll plug in our power to get everything started booting up. And then we can plug in our 3D printers. All of these are Mark IIIs. Mark II works as well. We can plug them all in USB. On the printer side, we're just plugging it into the USB port on the main board. And in settings, we want to scroll down and make sure that Raspberry Pi port, our Pi port, is off. That's only for the header 4. So we should be good. Now we'll just plug in all 3 of our printers into the USB ports. Doesn't matter which ones. All the Prusa main boards have serial numbers, so it can figure out that you have a Prusa printer. And if the plugs were to ever switch, it will know where they go by tracking that serial. And if you just give it a couple of seconds, you might be able to hear the fans running. All the printers will reboot. That's just to signify that they have connected to PrusaLink. The printers are going to give you a little bit of info on the screen. It says wait 10 minutes. It's just getting PrusaLink connected, ready to go. Mine took about 3 minutes. The printers did reboot one more time. But then you're going to see an IP address and a / number on the end of it. PrusaLink is now okay. This IP and that number, that's how it tells PrusaLink, the multi-install, which printer is which. So this one is listed as number 3. Gold printer is reading in at number 2. And our MMU machine is reading in at number 1. Now we can just go back to our computer and head to that IP in our browser. So if we just type in that IP in the URL bar, we'll get the PrusaLink display, and then it has all 3 of our printers listed down here. Now we can start setting them up and getting them connected. So printer 1, you saw on the display it was reading 1 on our MMU machine. We'll click on that one. We'll proceed to the next step. Set up your username and password you want to use to connect to PrusaLink. Then we'll hit next. And then name the printer whatever you'd like. This is my Mark III MMU. And you can set a location if you wish, just to help you find it if you have multiple machines. And then we'll hit next. This is going to give you all the information about this printer, including the serial number. Now it's important to note, again, you can't use anything with PrusaLink, Prusa Connect that isn't an actual Prusa machine. So if you swap the board or you have another printer, you're not going to get the correct serial number and it's not going to let you go through. But since we do, we'll go ahead and hit save. It's automatically going to take us to the Connect site where it's added the printer. Now if you don't have a Connect account, you can easily create one. But it's the same credentials that you would have created when you bought your Prusa machine from the Prusa site. If not, it's really easy to create it. You just have to have your serial number and a little bit of info, and then you're able to use Prusa Connect. So our first machine's ready to go. Now we can go back to the host page. We'll just go back to the main IP, and we can set up number 2. Same process. Credentials, name the printer. This is our Mark III Gold, our recap, and we'll hit save. Then one more time, our third printer, credentials. This is our Mark III enclosure printer. Review, save. So this installed everything with PrusaLink and put it in Prusa Connect so we can start monitoring it. Now you don't have to do the Prusa Connect part. You can see up here, it took us to PrusaLink for that third machine. You can just use the credentials that you just created. And that will take you directly to that printer's PrusaLink page. So you can get a status, you can send it files, look at the storage, and you also have some controls, and you can utilize a camera. And we'll duplicate that just so that I can show you how to get to the other ones. It's just the number of the printer after that IP address. So you can see there's a /3 on this one. We can just do /1 for our first machine, and then we can dupe that again to do /2. You do need that // to be able to get to them. So there's all the printers local without using Connect. And before we continue on, I'm going to say it again, you can only use Prusa branded printers at this time with Prusa Connect and PrusaLink. You have to have that serial number to be able to get through all of the screens to be able to utilize their services, which is fair enough in my opinion. Also, cameras, you can use cameras in this configuration. You're only going to get one by default, so you'll only be able to use that one or that first instance of the camera with PrusaLink, but you can always utilize your phone or tablet or another device with Prusa Connect if you'd like to go that route. You can do multiple cameras, but it's a lot of command line work to create multiple instances of that camera streamer, and it could impact performance on your Pi, so consider that. We could go through all those steps in another video if we want to, but we'll see how the responses come out in the comments. So back to Prusa Connect. So now that all of our devices have been added, you can see them all right here in the Prusa Connect page, along with all of my other newer Prusa machines, my Mark IVs and Minis. And you can monitor them from here just like you would any of the other machines. You can get all of your file information, everything that was already on the SD card has been pulled in, your print history, which is great for troubleshooting, as well as statistics. It is important to note, if we go to the settings page, you can see firmware. Only the newer versions of firmware are going to work with PrusaLink. I suggest you get up to the newest version anyway, because you're going to get a lot more features with the newer versions. I'm on 3.13.2, which is the current version. But anything 3.10.1 and up should work just fine with PrusaLink. And if you're using Prusa Slicer, go to your printer settings and hit the cog. You can select PrusaLink and put in your URL. So for the specific machine, we can use the one for our MMU2. It was 192.168.1.181/1, put your other slash on the end, and then you need your API key. We'll head back to PrusaLink /1, go to the settings over here on the right, and we can hit reset under API key. Here's your new key, since we didn't have one before. You can highlight and copy it. Back to Prusa Slicer, paste it in, Control V, and just give it a test. We've connected up successfully with PrusaLink. Now you can send it files directly from Prusa Slicer. That will trickle on up to the SD card on your printer, and you can still utilize all of those from Prusa Connect. And just for fun to show you, I did plug in a USB cam to the Pi in the open port that I had. But remember, it's going to default to the original instance. So the /1 printer. If you go to cameras, there it is. You can see if we go to the third machine, it doesn't have any cameras listed. Again, we'd have to do some pretty fancy configuration to be able to make multiple cameras happen. But it is doable. And remember, from Prusa Connect, like I've showed you in videos before, you can always add cameras here, or if you have an API interface for a camera, you can use that as well. But this one just utilizes a QR code. You can scan it with your phone or device and use that as the camera for monitoring your prints. So there you go. There's the highlights of everything you need to know about setting up multiple printers on one host like a Raspberry Pi with PrusaLink and Prusa Connect. Remember, PrusaLink is the local piece of software you can use in-house. That reports up to Prusa Connect to pull everything into one screen. And Prusa Slicer, you can use that to send files to either PrusaLink or Prusa Connect directly, whichever one you'd like to do. It just makes the whole thing very convenient. Now we can go a little bit deeper with PrusaLink and Prusa Connect, like adding multiple cameras, or I can show you some of the SSH commands you can use to control this whole thing, but that's more than most people would like to do, and we can probably visit that on later videos. So that will be it for today. Hopefully you found this helpful, and I'll see you really soon on the next one.